Alright, doing a amazing Wastieist video, and yes, it is necessary, and, to these whiners, these sycophants of the amazing atheist, who complain that I have, just some petty agenda or reason to make these arguments, you're just revealing yourself, okay? If your amazing atheist was all he was cracked up to be, all, your admiration would, imply he deserved, yeah, he'd want the fight. Alright? I mean, really, people who have the goods want the fight. And he runs from the fight. He runs from the argument. Because he's a lame, weak, pussy atheist of the worst order. And he's basically, I mean, I ain't gonna say liar. But, yeah, he's just pulling your fucking little wieners. Alright? I mean, he's playing you assholes. He's already defined why he's an atheist. It was because it was the monster philosophy. It scared people, and he liked being scary. That's all it's ever been about for this asshole. He's not an atheist. He's a pagan. He's a fucking buffoon. He's a fuck turd, a fuck tard, a fuck wit. Just a general douche bag. He's a dirty bag of vinegar. So anyway, here we go.
He has the same name as the Jesus Lion from Chronicles of Narnia, but he's actually a Muslim Iranian intellectual who, a few months back, wrote an article for the Washington Post. I didn't...
Oh, the Washington Post. Yeah, like we should all give a fuck. I mean, yeah, the Washington Post. Let's see, the most right-wing newspaper in the country.
See the article until today, and I was, quite frankly, a little bit insulted. It was an article against atheists, and I usually don't let stuff written against atheists get to me personally, because even though I'm called the amazing atheist on YouTube, I don't identify myself as an atheist in everyday life. I'm not...
Yes, that's because you just don't care about any philosophical human agenda. As you stated, you became an atheist for the wrong reasons, not the right reasons. It wasn't logic that compelled you, okay? It's quoting The Exorcist. You were compelled because, yeah, you just didn't like God. You didn't like religion, but it wasn't a matter of compelling logic.
I'm not one of these atheists that has a shirt that says, "I'm an atheist, argue with me."
Yeah, so this guy is insulting atheism, and what did you just do? What did you just do? You said, so he's basically argues the same old bullshit claim that, like mongoloids and retards and mentally deficients, the default is atheism. Yeah, right, and that's all atheism means. It means you don't believe in anything. Yeah, whoop-de-fucking goddamn do. The point is that people like Dawkins, or other atheists, people who have come to drawn these conclusions, they drew them because they had an alternative theory that was outstanding, was strong and efficient and complete, and it was glaring that some of the notions of humanity were preposterously misinformed, ill-advised, wrong, very wrong.
I'm not that big of an attention whore outside of YouTube. But this article kind of pissed me off. In Aslan's article, he furnishes us with a few reasons why the new atheists, that is to say Richard Dawkins, Sam Harris, Christopher Hitchens, that crowd, are as...
Yeah, again, you talk about them, you even say their name with a kind of subtle contempt, as if you don't think they're doing atheism a service, as if they are too aggressive and too passionate, because they might have the knowledge that the human race is a powerful force, 7 billion strong, that humanity can be all kinds of things and get into all kinds of trouble, and if it has a fundamental belief system that is preposterously wrong in what it has concluded reality to be and what is valuable, that they have to take a different course. what seems quite obvious from your simplistic and dopey critique of philosophy in general, is that you're quite comfortable with the conclusions in the broad sense of what a human being is. The definition of human being, the God delusion, owns you. You've just replaced God with the words DNA, but it's still a delusion that has nothing in it except an obsession with your goddamn self-interest, your own preposterously inflated fucking ego. Yeah, you just can't. You see nothing further than that. You are as dumb and dim-witted as the worst creationist, fundamentalist loony who is obsessing about humans and human comfort and can't even and still has some nutty, just completely irrational concept of human superiority, as if humans have earned that status, and that they don't somehow have to prove that status.
Bad as religious fundamentalists, the very religious fundamentalists that they themselves condemn. His reasons are as follows. The conviction that they are in soul...
Let's be clear again, too. This fucktard sits there and does plenty of condemning of strong atheism, passionate atheism, aggressive atheism, convicted atheism.
The only truth that you can infer from someone's atheist position is the truth that they lack a belief in God.
That is just silly, alright? It's like saying biologist. Okay, what are you supposed to infer? Oh, okay, that's right, a knowledge of biology. Physicist, a knowledge of physics. When somebody says atheist, the way they're doing that, why wouldn't they just say, I'm a rationalist, I'm a reasonableist, I'm a, there's probably even a better way to say it, an idealist, a productivityist, a, yeah, reasonable. There's probably that perfect word in there somewhere. Well, anyway, it doesn't matter. They could be all kinds of ists. They could label themselves, and and they would be perfectly, like I said, Dawkins could call himself a biologist. He doesn't have to say any more, right? Biologist pretty much infers a lack of belief in God right there too. But why would he say atheist? He says atheist. People call themselves atheists because it does mean something, because there's a huge distinction in philosophical perception. It's an important belief difference. So important that people will say, I'm an atheist, before they will say, I'm a physicist.
I'm an atheist, I don't believe in God, that's all that it means. Now, I know that
it's just silly to say that, especially when you don't have a rational or reasonable definition of theism, because you obviously have some sort of spiritual notions. You like to indulge in fantasies about crows on chimneys or other bullshit superstition and coincidence as one issue. And furthermore, you take no account for the implications of the non-existence of God. You provide no alternative explanation for meaning and purpose or anything else. All you know is TJ hungry, TJ want to eat, TJ need to fart, TJ need to shit, TJ want to kill. That's all. You don't think any further than what TJ wants. That's not a philosophy. That's not atheism. So your priority really isn't atheism. It's good you're not I mean, really, it is an abomination that you're called the amazing atheist when it is not your passion. Your passion, you are a TJ-ist. You are a Taroja-ist. Where the fuck does that name Taroja come from? Give us the true story. Where does somebody come up? Really, think about that one. Who comes up with a name like Taroja? I mean, that has mysticism and bullshit and some sort of weird pagan-y kind of, you know, that's something some fucking cannibal on an island calls himself. That's not something an atheist or a biologist or a humanist or somebody who gives a fuckist would call themselves.
Can seem like this monumentous intellectual act of supreme heresy in a country as religious as the United States of America.
Yeah, and that's it for you. That was it. Just the heresy. That's all you gave a shit about, was the fact that it was a heresy. But it is a little bit of a monumental act when everybody else is caught up in a delusion, when everybody else is doing the Stepford wife thing, and you're all of a sudden saying, well, I'm not one of those. You know, it takes a little bit of balls to step up and say, I'm not doing that.
But in actuality, it's just one little issue. It's not really all that important.
I mean, it's just so profoundly preposterous. I mean, this is just such pussy atheism, and it is just so irrational. So the idea that there was no purposeful, intelligent creator who has a whole set of moral guidelines and precepts by which humans are supposed to live by, some of them just preposterously silly, like smearing blood on doors and shit. The fact that that is not true, and that an alternative reality where we have evolved as an organism through billions of years of evolution, and come to this point where we are existing in a world that is based on consumption, reproduction, cannibalism. That's you, TJ. You're one of the cannibals. You know, you're like one of the little assholes, okay, who came across on the Mayflower and saw the Native Americans, who were really only their ancestors 40,000 years later. The same blood was flowing in their goddamn veins. They were their greats. And what did they do? You know, they threw rocks and stuck knives in their head. And you're that kind of fucktard.
Except for in the context of a society that's set up like this. If 80% of people were atheists, no one would give a fuck about anyone being an atheist.
Who cares about this giving a fuck? Is that the issue? It somehow has to do with just giving a fuck? No, it has to do with a complete philosophical reorientation, an obligation to explain your existence, defend your behavior, and make a rational argument explaining what this is. You have to come up. You can't. I mean, if you're just going to babble and drool like a big fat pig and say I'm too stupid to speculate or to theorize or to argue a truth, then yeah, you're the useless pile of crap. You're less than a... Yes, I'd rather the fucking religious, deluded, fundamentalist asshole than an asshole who refuses to even use his brain.
Like saying I like ice cream. Atheists don't claim to have some awareness of the truth that just eludes everyone else.
Well, I think they certainly do claim it has eluded other people, and I think they argue that it's eluded them through profound and stunning ignorance. Okay, that's why Dawkins is out there talking the talk and walking the walk, is because that's what he's trying to correct for. He's talking to the institutions and talking to people and saying you can't brainwash people and expect them not to be brainwashed, so stop doing that. Stop controlling the thought process and let it liberate, and you will see the obvious truth. Alright? Get rid of your God delusion, you asshole. He's titled his books very, very fucking goddamn well. And you don't understand that. The human race is possessed by a very, very destructive delusion. And listen to the big, giant, amazing atheist talking as if it doesn't matter. Right. Why? Because you are so possessed and owned by traditional Christian gluttony, piggery, ego. You love the... I mean, you probably wish you could still go to confession just because you would love to shock a priest.
I've never heard an atheist say, oh yeah, I know you're an architect, but I bet I can build this building a little better because I don't believe in God. Everyone knows that us atheists are in complete command of all truths within the universe.